Welcome to another episode of New Steeple.
Same people.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Jeff.
And we actually have a very special guest with us today. He's so special, we gave him the special guest mug. You want to show that? It's a very special for him. We want to make you feel special because, Phil, you are special.
I've been told that before. Thank you.
And he is really special to this podcast. And do you know why that is?
I have no idea why.
Because a long time ago, we were wondering about, I don't know, certain sayings. We always had these little funny things we do in the office. And on this whiteboard, Phil had this incredible idea for a new slogan for Easter Sunday. Because we're getting to work on a new steeple. So he wrote, "New steeple, same people."
Wow. You're very creative.
It's all you, man.
It's all me.
It's all you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, here we go. I'm excited. This is going to be a good time to talk with one of our staff members specifically about what it is he does and why he does it. So this will be good. So let's start by just telling us who you are and kind of what your title is and maybe how long you've been here and what it is you do.
So Phil Gold, I do. Officially, it's called Family Connections Minister, and I work with our family ministry. I'll explain a little bit more about that today. And through Connections, I help with our new members, assimilation, and small groups, and some of our adult ed now as well. And
so the majority of the things that you do are behind the scenes. Not a lot of people can see all of that.
Unless they're behind the scenes, yes.
That's right. Those are behind the scenes. So you're involved in family. That's kind of your title, your wheelhouse. But there's a lot of things that go under family. Yeah,
there really are. I mean, one of the things that I spend some time focusing on is in the area of marriage and relationships. And so I get to do several marriage classes and things throughout the year. Help host marriage night. Also do some marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling, things along that line. And then from there, on the small group side, we can talk about another podcast together, that connection and everything. There's just a lot that goes into it that involves a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And so it's not just me doing this. There are a lot of people that are involved to make all this happen.
Right. And we've had, I have kind of I guess a smaller family. We've got 2 kids. And Jeff, you've got a larger family. How many kids do you have?
We've got 3, but one is away at the moment, so kind of 2.
Yeah. And so whenever you came on staff here, you kind of came right in the middle, right before COVID hit. Mm-hmm. Did the fact that we had a family minister play into any of that decision to come here?
When we came and interviewed, just getting to meet all of the staff and visit with them, Phil was just a bright spot in that whole interview process. He really was. And we kind of had some connections, some mutual people that we knew from our past. And so we kind of connected there. And just his overall, one of the things I love about Phil is his willingness to just, at the drop of a hat, pray with you and pray for you. Yeah. And, he did that with my wife and I during the interview process and just really struck a chord with us. And so, having him on staff here was a huge part of us coming. So
right, yeah. Don't get a big head or anything. But it is true, the thing that I think you're gifted at here is you can make connections with most anybody. And especially those people who are on the fringes a little bit. And there's so many families today who just right under the surface, it could all just break up, all of it. It's like people are, I'm sorry, I'm going to show my inner nerd here, but in the Lord of the Rings,
what's that?
Oh my gosh, the Lord of the Rings. There's
a Star Wars episode.
There's one line that Gandalf says, and he's talking about, the whole enterprise rests on the edge of a blade. A little to the left, a little to the right, everything basically falls apart. And that's what I feel like about our families today. There's so much stress and unspoken angst that lie just beneath the surface with marriages, with kids, with pressure in school. I mean, we've experienced it. I know y'all have experienced it. I'm sure you've experienced it. But how many people are on the fringes just kind of enduring this alone?
Yeah, and then that we have so many dynamics when we talk about marriage and we talk about family. I think sometimes we typically think of the what we call our intact families, our mom and dad that are there from the beginning, and families takes on, it's such a wide definition now. It's not what it used to be.
Right.
And so we have single parents, and we have singles just themselves. They are a family unit. We have, grandparents that are raising kids. We have all these blended families that are taking place, and on it goes. There are lots of dynamics taking place there. And one of the things that is important to me is how we strengthen the family, because it directly correlates with how strong the church is.
Right.
There was a study done back in 2018 by the U.S. Catholics, and it was a really vast study and came with a lot of information, but about 80% of millennials that came from married families, intact families through graduation, okay? 80% of those millennials whose families were still together at the end of graduation, the stats they found were that 78% of them were still active in church. So 78% out of the 80% of millennials that were in intact homes when they graduated were still in church. So, pardon me, one of the other stats that the study came up with was that 40% of all births, that's a fun word to say this morning, births, get that THS in there together, wow, in the U.S. are happening outside of marriage. So 40% of all the births are happening outside of marriage. And that 54% of kids that are born in the U.S., by the time they reach their 17th birthday, they will reach that 17th birthday without mom and dad both being in the house.
Wow.
Okay, so we see that family formation is really important to faith formation. And so we've got to do things to make sure that we're keeping marriages intact, that we're helping families out, and that we're providing resources. So that's why we do what we do here. That's why we provide the pre-marriage counseling. That's why we have people to come alongside of couples that need help in their marriage, try to team up, mentor couples with people. That's why we have our marriage enrichment classes that we do. That's why we do the marriage night. That's why we do our parenting stuff. One of the things that we did a couple years ago was we bought a subscription to a deal called Access. And we've talked to a lot of our parents about that. Each year we remind them that they have a free subscription to this through the church. And Access is a place where parents can go and find resources on parenting, okay? How to deal with every issue that's out there. Because, I mean, our kids are facing things today.
Yeah.
My wife just said this to me again yesterday. They're facing things today that we didn't, what they're learning in school today, they're learning it a year or two ahead of what we did when we were in school, right? I mean, there's so much going on. But the other thing is they have these things, these phones, right? And so they have instant access to everything. And so what Access is about is providing parents with resources to talk about all the different issues their kids are facing, whether those are gender issues, whether those are anxiety and stress that kids are going through, cell phone addiction. How do we deal with addictions? There's so many of them right now. And so it's resources to help parents understand what's actually happening, because I think that's the first thing they've got to figure out, what's actually going on out there. But then second, there are guides that are provided for parents to actually have conversations with their kids about these issues, to help arm them with resources that way. So that's really what this ministry is about. It's about coming alongside of families and not replacing the role of mom and dad, but reinforcing mom and dad in the family.
Yeah. So that sounds like a really, a really good support and tool for parents. If we have parents that are listening to this, how can they, is that still available to them? How can they access Access?
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
Yes, forgetting the tongue twisters. She sells seashells. Okay. Just call the office or email me, phil@jscc.org, and I will send you out an invite again with all the information so that you can create an account again. If you never created an account, just let me know. I'll get you in there right away.
Yeah, and whenever you talk about families, man, there's so many things we could talk about specifically, but families is just changed, and in our community we have families, we have kids who are going to school who've got one parent, two parents. Some of them have someone who's been divorced. They've got such this blended family. It's not always the nice Brady Bunch happy family. They've got so many stresses and struggles at home. You've got kids with two moms. You've got kids with two dads, and we have a much different family landscape today than we did even 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so whenever it comes to the core strength of this family, one thing that my wife and I have always been passionate about and is how do you kind of help it at its source? And to me, the source is that parent relationship. How much they love each other, how much they trust, how much they support and encourage each other. And this is what you do a lot of here. And you're trying to get some things started with our marriages. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so one of the things that I do each year is 2 to 3 times a year, I provide a class called Better Love. And the idea, the idea behind Better Love is it takes you wherever you are in your relationship journey. So you could be seriously dating, you could be engaged, or you could be married for 6 weeks or 60 years. It doesn't matter. Yeah. There are always skills and things that we can learn to help improve our marriages. I mean, you guys have both been married over 20 years, like I have, and there are still things that my wife has to, that I have to learn.
Gotcha.
See what I mean? That I need to learn. And what it's about is getting in there with other couples that are going through the same stuff. Sometimes they're at a different life stage, and so you may be able to then help mentor them while you're still learning at the same time. So it's a really unique class the way it's designed, so that folks are they're doing some homework, they're learning some stuff, they go on these dates together, and they are applying stuff, but they get into class and they're able to share that with each other and help mentor other couples and stuff. So that's one of the things that we do with our
and that's so hard too, because there's so many couples out there that think, I don't want people to know what goes on.
Right.
There's this hesitancy, I know, to kind of put yourself in that environment. How do you overcome that?
Yeah, because what we have is this mindset that if I go to something like this, that must mean that I'm admitting I have an issue. And it's kind of like walking down the aisle at the invitation time after your sermons, right?
Oh.
People are afraid to go because
Does that still happen?
Yeah, we have this mindset that, well, if somebody sees me walking up there, they're going to assume I've got an issue. Mm-hmm. And so what I try to do is help normalize the fact that we all have issues, right? It's true. We all do. And some of us don't know how to fight fair. We fight all the time, but we don't know how to fight fair. So One of the things we do is we talk about how to do that. We talk about communication, for instance, the fact that the average couple today spends less than 3 minutes a day in meaningful conversation. But the average individual spends more than 3.5 hours a day on their cell phone. Okay, so if you're more than 3.5, you're above average. I'll just let you know that you might have an issue going on there. But the average person is spending 3.5 hours a day on their phone. Now, when it comes to teens, that number, Jeff and I were looking at that the other day. The actual number there is over 7 hours a day of exposure to technology and phones and stuff. And so we talk about communication in there. We talk about how to help couples figure out how to actually have meaningful conversation and not just administrative conversation. Because that's what most of us have, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, we got to pick up the kids, we got to get the yard moved, we got to get milk, we got to whatever. And so,
what do you want to do for dinner?
Right. Oh man, that is our most meaningful conversation almost every night, right? What are we gonna do? What do we have?
Yeah, I love going to those with my wife because those couples events because I would always leave thinking, man, at least we're not as bad off as those people. I mean, we all have our own issues, right? And someone's looking at us going, man, I'm glad we're not like those people. But it does normalize a lot of it. You realize, oh, the other people have issues too, you know? And so if you really want to know what Phil and Jamie struggle with, then just, go to this class. And
I usually schedule it when she's teaching in the Bible class.
So she can't
she's
defend
not in
herself.
there at the same time. So I don't have to defend myself. It's not.
But there's also something else that you do or something that you're trying to get off the ground because you're trying to get more people involved in helping other couples too. It's not just you or me or Jeff, but you're trying to get more people that not necessarily aren't on staff, but have good, solid marriages, helping other marriages. What's that all about?
Yeah, I really would love to see our mentoring really take off. It's missing in America. It's missing in the world. But it's really missing in the church, and that doesn't make sense because you would think the church would be the place where it would be most robust.
Right.
But it seems to be.
And it should be. It should be.
It should be. I mean, it's biblical, right? I mean, but we've got this opportunity in front of us to take on the opportunity to mentor people. So let me just say this. A mentor is not an expert. Okay, it's just somebody who's further down the road than you are.
You don't have to have everything together and perfect.
And
you'd be good.
If you encounter somebody that's got everything together and perfect, you might want to run from them because that's really an illusion, right? And so all we're looking for are people that say, you know what, I care enough about marriage and families that I'm going to give some time to somebody. And so the first thing I tell folks when they come to our class is, hey, if you don't have a mentor couple, I want you to find one. And then by the time we're through with this, I want you to have identified somebody else that you can mentor. Because it's really important that we spend some time developing each other.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are so many things in life that we're trained on and taught on, marriage and relationships. That's not one of them.
Right.
And it ought to be.
Yeah, I found the same thing to be true with conflict in churches. Oddly enough, we don't teach enough about that. So we don't know how to fight. So how many churches split because they don't know how to manage a fair fight? And with our marriages, if the marriage is not healthy, then the family will not be healthy.
Exactly.
And so I really appreciate the work you're doing with that. And so whenever it comes to that particular request or need, if someone's out there, they're listening or they're watching and they're like, hey, I think we would like to do that. What does that look like?
So there are a couple of things that we can do with that. One is we come meet with me and let me kind of assess where you're at and what you have to offer, because I may have somebody already in the pipeline right now that could really use your skill set.
Right.
And so I can team you up. But if you're saying, we'd like to mentor some people, but what does that really mean?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're asking that question because we actually have a curriculum that we can take you through to teach you how to do these things, how to mentor some people. Some of it is, we do a lot of pre-marriage counseling around here. There are people that are, that get married all the time. And so instead of the staff, instead of us always having to be the ones to do the pre-marriage counseling, because it is one of those things that first of all, I don't do marriages without a couple going through pre-marriage counseling, and I think you guys are in the same spot. Yeah. And so if there's somebody that comes to one of us saying, hey, would you do our wedding? Well, we need somebody to help facilitate that. That is a great place to do that. And so there's a curriculum that we take people through to teach them how to mentor them through pre-marriage counseling and provide that stuff as well. So
yeah, that's great. And again, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be somebody who has it all together, or even you don't have to be a fantastic teacher. All you have to do, to me, is be willing, right?
Right. I mean, I'm looking for somebody that's approachable.
Yeah.
I mean, because, we've all been around the person that seems to have it just completely together, and they feel unapproachable because it's like, well, they don't know sin like I know sin. Right. They don't know struggle like I know struggle. I mean, and so it feels awkward to go around them. And so, we're not looking for somebody that's just openly sinning, but we're okay with flawed people, right?
Good.
And if you're openly sinning, we'll help you through that too, by the way. So,
Because it could just be a meal
oh,
once a month
yeah.
or something. I mean, it doesn't have to be like you're not like contacting these people every day necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Because some people we go to the extremes and we think, oh no, I have to be a mentor. That means I'm going to have this whole nother.
This is my life. This is
my
taking
life.
over everything.
It's kind of like, volunteering for children's ministry, right? There's nothing, oh great, now I'm stuck, which is not the case, as you'll find with Elizabeth here on another podcast.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think when we think of the idea of mentoring, we're not saying that you've adopted this person now and you can't shake them, right? And it's not something like that. It's this deal where we're saying, we're going to invest in each other. I'm going to have you at my table. I'll come to your table. We'll get coffee. We'll go fishing or whatever it might be. And if I find that person, I'm really interested in that person. Yeah. Wants to take me fishing. But anyway, that's just I think that's a great point you bring up, Scott. This isn't when I say there's a curriculum I'm taking you through, it's really just to teach you how just to relax and be yourself. Nice. And talk to people about some practical things. It's not all of a sudden you're going to sit down and have some complicated Bible study you're doing with them. That's it.
Yeah. There's one more thing as we kind of wrap up here, talk to us about kind of the family retreat, kind of the things that we do here at Johnson Street to kind of help. Because there's a lot of people who've never been on this family retreat, and we've been doing it for 30 years. So for those people who are kind of thinking, yeah, I hear about it, but why is that important to our life?
So family retreat has really evolved through the years, because 30-something years ago, it started off as a youth ministry event, right? It was tied to the parents of those who had kids in the youth ministry, and then it's evolved, and through time, it's kind of grown to where those parents that had aged out of youth ministry, their kids had all moved on, were still going and participating, and it grew into more of a thing that people from all over the church really adopted and said, hey, we're part of. For my wife and I, Jamie and I, when we came here to Johnson Street 6 years ago, I think it was now, that was one of the very first things we did. And that was the deciding moment for us to say, this is the church we want to be part of. We're gonna go ahead and say to these shepherds, we're going to place our souls under your care, and to the staff, we're going to be here to support you and help you any way we can. And we're now part of this family. And it's because there's a dynamic that happens there. It's not a structured deal where all of your time is completely structured or something. There's lots of free time, but what it really is, it's about people just interacting and having a blast with each other. We have some great worship times during that, and it's a celebration. So you don't have to be a family with kids to go on this. You just need to be part of the Johnson Street family. Yeah. For even that matter, you don't even have to be part of the Johnson Street family. Anybody that wants to come is welcome. Yeah. And we've had over the years people from as young as 8 months old to 80 years old that have participated. It's a great time.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I appreciate everything that you do and the focus that you place on our couples and our families, and you even support our ministers. You kind of talk with our youth minister and our campus ministers and our children's minister to kind of feed into them and encourage them, because they're right in the middle of all of this. They're in the thick of it. Yeah. So I really appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a real support to everyone on staff, and it's just been great to be part of the team with you.
Thanks.
Is there anything that, we kind of like to end with, what do you need? Is there anything that our listeners, our viewers can do to help you as you're leading these ministries?
Pardon me. I would just encourage you to not be afraid of trying something. I think what happens is we've kind of alluded to it already. We sometimes think that if I say yes, that means some kind of a lifelong commitment that is going to wear me out or something. And let's be honest, it's happened in the past to people where they've been abused that way, right? That's not what we're asking. I'm saying, come and identify a skill set or a place of interest with me, and let me help you get to work. Because there's so much that can be done, but we need you. We need you to help us, because There's stuff that's not being done yet because we just don't have the people identified
Right.
and equipped and in place. And so if you're sitting back going, you know what, it's time for me to do something, let's start to do it.
All right. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate you being here. And
Thanks for the great coffee cup.
you're welcome. And, we spare no expense for our special guests. Just want you to know
And it
that.
wasn't just Folgers either, so that was nice too.
Nice. Well, that's it for this podcast. We'll be looking for Phil again. We're going to talk to him a little bit more about community in an upcoming podcast. But for now, I'm Scott.
And I'm Jeff.
And this is the New People. Oh, what is it called? New Steeple?
New Steeple.
Oh, we're going to have to edit that. And this is the New Steeple
Same people.
podcast.
We'll see you next time.
See you
God
next
bless.
time.